Last night, while you were sleeping, the NFL Players Association was not sleeping. I've got an update on a story. I would like to send my congratulations to David White. You are the interim executive director of the NFLPA, taking over for Lloyd Howell. Congrats. If you recognize that name, that's because you're paying attention. Number one, that's the same guy who was a finalist when Howell got it. That's the same guy who used to be the head of the SAG-AFTRA union. That's the same guy who Pablo Torre did a show about and explained that David White had just a few skeletons in the closet, which would make it extremely surprising if he would get this job. It's the same guy who J.C. Tretter, the shamed, now gone J.C. Tretter of the NFLPA, it's the same guy that he wanted, supposedly. Well, wouldn't you know, the NFLPA, they couldn't help themselves. They stayed in their comfort zone, and here's how it works. You have a group of interim people who are going for it, and the situation is that you've got a committee, and the committee is made up of player reps from each of the 32 teams. Those are the people who vote. Then you have a committee above that. They're like the head of the player reps. It's the same with the baseball union. It's the same with the NBA. Very, very common. And they've been working super hard to try to figure out how to identify someone in the interim while making it clear that an interim executive director is not a permanent one. Now, the interim executive director will have the easiest path to being named permanent. But what the union had to do was say, we'll name an interim today, but we'll do an exhaustive search for a permanent. And you can bet your sweet bippy that the part of the search will include those who were up for interim who didn't get it last night. The reason I was surprised that they went with David White is because of the baggage he comes with, and it really would make no sense to me to hire him. When Pablo told you that part of SAG-AFTRA was David White, head of the union, trying to quash stories about pedophilia within the ranks of his industry, when Pablo Torre is going through and giving you facts, talking about, he's giving you information that he wanted out there for all of the NFLPA voters, executive council, player reps, players. He wanted everyone to say, listen, if you're not going to get told the facts about your candidates, I might as well. And then make your own decision. I will bet dollars to donuts that not one player, and this is nothing against you, Pablo, you know that, not one player rep had paid attention to the PTFO episode. They'd heard about it, maybe. But to them, it certainly was not going to be something that was going to sway them in any decision. So they went with David White because of comfort. They went with David White because he's done it before as ED of SAG-AFTRA. When other interim candidates clearly had the football experience within the union, when other interim candidates had actually done it before, it blew my mind. There was a spokesperson on behalf of the Board of Player Reps. His name is Jalen Reeves-Maben. He came out and said, this is a quote, I am proud to share that David White has been elected to serve as our interim executive director. This decision is the result, wait for this, he actually said this, of a comprehensive player-led process. I would just like to tell you that when we know who we want, because we had it in our head before we started the process, we did fake interviews, and we never gave anyone else a real chance because we took care of it, whether we had to deal with the CELAG rule and interview minorities or whether we were hiring a minority and we had to interview white people. Whatever we had to do, it didn't matter. Very few times in my career did we go into a hiring process without knowing who we were going to hire. Very, very few times. And that's normal. You can be surprised if you allow yourself to be surprised. You can be open if you allow yourself not to be closed. The majority of people who go into searches like this already have it narrowed down, and then they protest that very fact. They go out of their way to tell you how comprehensive this search was. Can you imagine if the owner of the Expos, when he bought the Expos, said, I did a comprehensive search for president, and it led me right back to my son? Did Jerry Jones do a comprehensive search when he hired himself as GM or his son as EVP? You may do some sort of search. Comprehensive? Nah. The comprehensive comes if the person who gets the job for whatever reason isn't good at the job, and then you finally realize, wait a minute, we're going to have to do something major here. So Jalen Reeves talks about this comprehensive search, and then David White gets to give a comment that's the most canned comment you'll see, and man, we see a lot of them here. I am grateful to the NFLPA's player leadership for entrusting me with the privilege and responsibility to guide their union as interim executive director. It's a duty I do not take lightly, and I'm committed, here it is, to reestablishing trust and ensuring the union is serving its members best. It's like page 3 of the playbook. He could have written that before he got the job. Maybe that was part of his interview. What are you going to do, David? I'm not really interviewing you because you're going to get it. But let me just ask, what's the first thing you're going to do? I want to establish trust and leadership and cohesiveness. I want to be here for the little guy and the people at the top end of the pay market. His statement actually said, I look forward to working with the entire NFLPA team to protect players' health and safety, secure their financial well-being, and further strengthen their voice to shape their futures. Do you know when you do a job description, do you think the job description for the interim director of the NFLPA said that your job is to protect players' health and safety, to secure the players' financial well-being, and to further strengthen their voice to shape their futures? Do you think for a minute that that was part of it? Because I do. I think it would have been smarter for the NFLPA to hire anybody other than David White, because he's going to end up leaving in a cloud of disgrace. He is not going to be able to do any of the things that are being asked for in the NFLPA handbook of what an executive director should be. Why do I know that? Why? Because all of this was canned and preset. There was not anything based on merit. It was based on quickness and comfort and the ability to get rid of the story, when in fact it should have been the other way. The NFLPA should have said, everything we've done, we got to do differently. Get rid of anybody with any sort of thread to our past where we were not accomplishing what we wanted to accomplish. And then you can just look at all the candidates and say, no, 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 no. And then do a search firm. Find a matchmaker.